क्या आप आईएएस की तैयारी कर रहे हैं और कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट्स को 2.5 लाख तक की फीस नहीं पे करना चाहते? अगर हाँ, तो 22,500 रुपए में घर बैठ के StudyIQ के पेनड्राइव कोर्स के साथ आप आईएएस की तैयारी कर सकते हैं। आज ही विजिट करें StudyIQ.com।
A very good morning to all my dear friends. I hope you all are doing good. Let's have a positive start. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Don't take discipline as punishing yourself. In fact, it is opposite of punishment. It is about nurturing yourself. It is about inculcating those right habits and rituals through which you will achieve your goals. With this, the first item that we have is about dangerous rhetoric. It is associated with this National Register of Citizens. This final draft is out, and it has been completed with the help of so many important civil servants, as well as there were somewhere around, if I'm not wrong, 55,000 volunteers as well, right? They have contributed. Not all of them were volunteers, but 55,000. It was a big team, in thousands. Somewhere around 56, 57,000 people worked for a very long period of time to get this job done. Now, the problem that we are finding, as we have already gone through this National Register of Citizens, so I'm not going into all those details. This editorial is talking about this rhetorics that we find, right? Irresponsible statements given by Mr. Amit Shah, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, Mr. Mamta Banerjee, right? They are, I'm not against or supporting any political party here, as you can see. But the sad thing is, they are spreading this wrong message because if they are saying that, they are alleging that this party is supporting this people and that people and things like that, and this can create a panic situation. For a very long period of time now, this members of NRC, they are saying that this NRC final draft does not mean that the road is, it's a dead end. Not at all. It's not a dead end. Home Minister of our country, Rajnath Singh, has said this thing. And whenever you find Home Minister or any other minister issuing a statement, then don't take it as just as a political statement. It is more than that. It is a statement coming from Government of India. There is a very, you can say, it's very difficult to find this shade. You have different shades of red when you go out there to buy a piece of cloth. So in the same way, of course, Mr. Rajnath Singh is a political leader. He is coming from BJP party, but he is also a home minister of our country. So he cannot issue this sort of, he cannot, issue statements like Rahul Gandhi or like Amit Shah, because he has to speak from Government of India's point of view. So he has said also this thing that it's not that now this 40 lakh people will be sent back to Bangladesh or whichever country they have came from. Not at all. And it's not proved as well that all these 40 lakh people are not citizens. Right now, again, a rigorous process will go on, and these people, they have all the rights to appeal to district magistrates, foreigners tribunals, and Guwahati High Court, as well as they can also knock the doors of Supreme Court. So this dangerous rhetoric should end. This is something that is very serious, and political parties should behave, particularly their leaders, should behave a bit responsibly. The second item that we have is about rebooting the system of skills upgrade. Now, I have said this thing. If you're a regular follower, then you know these three items that are absolutely necessary for development of human resource, or you can say human capital, or citizens of any society, any country. The first one is, of course, education plus health, and of course you need to provide them skills as well. Now nowadays what we are finding is around the world, all those countries who are doing very well as far as skills and education is concerned, they have built a bridge between skill and education. Like, I'll give you example of Germany. I'm not sure if you are aware about this thing, but in Germany, right, the syllabus will be prepared by industry, or people from industry. They will come in, and then you have people from academics, right? Together they will develop this whole syllabus so that it has got a bit of practicality as well as it has got a bit of theory. Both the things are important. Just theory is not going to help. Just practicality is not going to help. You need best of both, a mix of both. So this is one of the reason why, we say this thing very proudly that when it comes to Germany, they are the ones who are quite ahead in technology. May it be cars, may it be other things, their technology is reliable. It's a bit expensive, but it's quality as well. So that's what we find. Take example of Japan as well. Japan, if you go through natural resources, right, then Japan is not that rich in natural resources. Of course, it has got some rare earth material and things like that, but the terrain of Japan is also not that good. I can't remember the exact figure, but it is somewhere around more than 50%, right, if I'm not wrong. More than 50% of Japan's portion is not inhabitable. Means it's very difficult or nearly impossible for us to live over there. So this is one of the reason wherever you have this plain area or bit soft terrain, people are living here, and you find that Tokyo and other cities are populated, right, because of this reason, because a huge amount of portion of Japan is empty. So a country that is not having natural resources has just decided, means not now, but I'm talking about what after World War II, somewhere around 60s, Japan decided that it will invest in health, of course, education and skill of its people. And today we know that Japan is, bullet trains, and I can go on and on. We can talk about half an hour, 1 hour about Japan's technology. So they are ahead because of they have invested in these three things. So what I'm trying to say here is basically that skills, right, education and health, but here we are talking about just skills or imparting skill in our youngster is absolutely important, right? We cannot take it lightly, and a report is out. The name of this report is Industrial Training Institutes, ITIs and Skill Development Initiative Scheme. Now the problem is what we find that when I say ITI, Industrial Training Institutes, I have seen one ITI when I was growing up. Of course, I have never been inside, unfortunately, but I have seen it. It was huge. It was a very big ITI, and at that point of time, youngsters used to go there in numbers, and they used to get jobs and everything. So it was a very reputed course. Maybe 15 years ago, or 16, 17 years ago. Currently what we find, and as per this report, going through this report, we find that small shops, basements, tin sheds and godowns are shown as ITIs. Can you imagine this thing? That we are training our youngsters in this small shops and basements and tin sheds, and then we are giving them certificates, and then they are coming into market, and what happens with them? They don't find proper job. This is a big complaint of multinational companies as well, right? When they come here in India, they say that yes, Indian people are talented, no doubt, but not all of them. You have a handful of people who are brilliant, no doubt, they know what to do, etc. But as far as skills are concerned, right, when we talk about not that fortunate people, then we find that it becomes a bit difficult for these MNCs, and it's not me saying it, it's what MNC reports are saying. If you go through, if you Google it, or if you do a little bit of research, right, then you will find this thing that they are untrainable. That's what they term us, right? They call us untrainable. Not all of them, of course, right? So don't get offended. Not all of us, but few of us. And when I say few, I'm talking about a big number. So this is reality. I cannot help. So skills, right? Indian youngsters, they lack these skills that are required in MNCs, and this impacts us. Take example of this, this call centers, this BPOs, the business process outsourcing. It was a big thing in our country, isn't it? But then now all these things are migrating to Vietnam and all these countries, because people are a bit more skilled, and you have to pay the same amount or many times a bit less than what you pay in India. So this is one more example for you guys, right? That skills are absolutely important. Now, it all started back in 1950s, this ITIs, and we find that in last 60 years till 2007 we have got what 1896 public ITIs, government ITIs, and 2000 private ITIs. But if we see the figures from 2007 to present moment, then we find that we have got 9,000 additional private ITIs in last 10 years. And let me tell you, these are not big ITIs, these are this small basements and tin sheds and go down type of ITIs. However, the ITIs are not alone. You have this National Skill Development Corporation, NSDC, has more than 6,000 private training centers, and this Somaya committee report indicates that this outsourcing, training, and people are youngsters are trained in this tin sheds and basements, and this is not helping us. It's basically government is bypassing or throwing its responsibility on someone else's shoulder, and this is not going to help our country. We know the reason now. A skill is absolutely important. What we find is that speed is a thing on which the main throttle here is on speed rather than quality of training, and this is very sad again, because we have 1.3 lakh students. They are at present in ITIs, and if there is no quality inculcated in them as far as this ITIs and this training is concerned, then it is going to be waste of time for them, and all their dreams and aspirations will get shattered. The other thing is we find that this ITIs, their function or their whole structure is very strange as well. You have this craftsman training scheme where you have this central government is designing all these things. Then you have day-to-day administration, finances, and admissions are looked after by state government, and NCVT, that is National Council for Vocational Training, works or performs as a advisory council. So you can see you have one ITI and you have three different bosses here. So this is again not that a favorable culture. What we need is we need to keep an eye on a proper oversight on how things are going on in the ground. If we find this sort of small shops are termed as ITIs, then we need to shut them down. This is not going to help them or youngsters. Core work of these things cannot be outsourced, like certification and assessment and all these things cannot be outsourced by government to a private party. Government has to make sure that it is looking after all these standards, and these standards are pan-India. You cannot have one standard for one place and other standard. You have to have one pan-India so that a student or a person can apply anywhere he or she likes. And we should also think about this reimbursable, this industry contribution, RIC. What this RIC is all about. RIC, how it works is, say for example, you are a private company, right? Now you train me, I come to you for training and you are training me. Of course, when you train me, you are spending, or I may rather use the word investing your energy in me. And when you are investing, then it is going to cost you, isn't it? So who is going to benefit out of it? After this training, if I'm done, right, if I find another place, or if I'm back in market looking for a job, then this is not going to help this company at all. But what they can do is, whilst they are training them, this person, or say for example here it's me, then they will train me. I will be contributing, looking after production and things like that, whatever business they are involved in. And if government is supporting this private company, if they are training me, then government will give them some sort of exemption with their taxes, or government will, if this company is spending 500 rupees per day for training me, then government will give or will spend the same 500 rupees. So more training can be done and more people can be trained and things like that. So this is something that we need to introduce. So what happens with this thing is there are many benefits. First of all, a private company, right, will get money. The other thing, money in the sense, the amount of people they train, the money that will be given by government. The other thing is they will get, this. It's a good recruitment drive as well. They can find out who is best for them, and they can recruit that person directly, so it's going to be a bit easy for them. If you calculate, then you find that your cost and other things, your advertisement and recruitment cost and all these things will come down, because youngsters will be coming to you. You will get new energy, government support will be there. So it's good it's win-win. At the end of the day, you can say it's win-win for everyone, right? For youngster, it is a win-win thing. For this private company, for government, everyone is happy when we introduce this RIC. Moving on to another item, this is about this Europe, right? Threats to EU values. Now, let me stop here, and I would like to ask you one thing, that what do you prefer, right? Shall I give you a brief before I start discussing, or do you want me to highlight an article or editorial and then discuss? That's what I'm following now, as you can see. So as I've told you that EU, I'm just clarifying it, so I don't want any confusion. So if you tell me, then I will apply that thing. If you don't inform me, then I will never know. So please help me here, and do let me know what is best. Shall I give you a brief before I start discussion? It will take 1 or 2 minutes max, right? And from there we will just start on discussing things one by one. Or do you want me to show you, before we change a topic, do you want me to show you this thing or this 2 pages and then highlight? So let me know. I will be eagerly waiting for your response. And dear friends, this one is about this EU values, European Union's value. Now, when I say European Union's value, what are the things that comes to your mind? I will give you a brief history of this area. Let's talk about the present, right? It is the most beautiful, naturally very beautiful. It is a developed continent. You have some poor countries here, but things are not that bad. When we say poverty, you have to come to India and see it, isn't it? So they are not that poor. We know what poverty is, right? We see this thing, or we witness this poverty every single day in our life. So it's nothing in Europe. Then they are developed, as I told you. They are prosperous as well, this whole region. And now we talk about history. Then we have this French Revolution. I'm just giving you gist of European values, right? You have this French, this is France here, and then you have French Revolution. If you go back in French Revolution, then we find this nationalism and liberty and expression and all these things. And later on, these ideas blasted everywhere, and you know it very well that during our independence movement as well, this liberty and all these things have helped us. This is coming from this French Revolution, and it is part of course, European values, European Union's value as well. Now we find 2 countries here. One is Poland and Hungary. They are, you can say, a bit misbehaving, as if you see it from European Union's point of view. You have this Hungary and Poland here, and of course I have got your map-based question or questions ready for you. The first question for you guys is, you have to tell me the capital of both these nations. The second question is, as you can see here, Hungary is a landlocked country. This is Ukraine here, so it's not sea, right? So pay attention here. So this is this Hungary is a landlocked country, but Poland is not. So you have a water body here, a sea here. Can you give me the name of this sea? This is your second map-based question. Now, what we find nowadays is that there are some right elements, or extreme right elements. They are not happy with this migration, and you know, they have, in Europe, they have this Schengen agreement that allows you, if you are a citizen of France or Germany or Poland or Romania, then you can go anywhere you like, right? You don't have to take visa. You can go from one place to another, and this thing applies on refugees as well. Now the problem is, you know, when these refugees started coming or heading towards this continent, of course Italy and Greece and other countries who are sharing its border with Mediterranean Sea, they cannot afford to absorb all these migrants, so immigrants to be precise. So these immigrants, they have to be distributed. So it was decided that we will distribute all these immigrants, refugees between us as per Schengen agreement. And Germany took a lead. Germany started absorbing or opening its doors for all those doctors and PhD people and highly skilled people were invited by Germany, and then we have now labor class and other class people, and they are going through some tough time because in many European countries they have this extreme right wave, that is brewing and getting stronger and stronger. They are asking for throwing back these refugees and not accepting them, and we see this Stop Soros. It's a law that was passed by Germany and beg your pardon, Hungary. And as per this law, if someone is helping this asylum seeker, then that person will be punished, or a criminal offense will be registered against that person. So this is a bit problem, or it's controversial. It's against this European Union's value, and the big problem for Europe or EU is that, not Europe but EU, is that you need to have 100% consensus when it comes to taking a decision. So even if one country is saying no, then you cannot take action. So this is a big problem. This thing needs to be changed. Moving on to another item now. It is about this 30 years of 888 uprising. This 888 stands for 8th day of August, that is 8th month, and of 1988. This was the time when this pro-democracy movement started in Myanmar. Myanmar was ruled by British, as we all know, and later on it got a bit of independence, and then this military took over, and for a very long period of time people were crushed, people were harassed, and minorities were treated very badly. All these things took place in Myanmar. And of course, Myanmar is a country with which we share our border as well, land boundary we share with them. We are working on a project as well, Sitwe port. Remember this Sitwe, and then you have this Kaladan project. China as well is developing a port in this region here. To be precise, this region here, right here, China is also developing a port. The lady that you can see on your screen, her name is Aung San Suu Kyi. She is a very famous leader of this country, Burma or Myanmar. Her father was also a famous leader, and she fought for democracy. She was jailed for a very long period of time. She has got Nobel Prize as well for peaceful protest. She resisted this heavy hand of military, and finally she's out. Now she's a very important player. You can say de facto, the actual powers as far as this government is concerned, it is with Aung San Suu Kyi. If I'm not wrong, her driver, of course when I say driver, I don't mean to disrespect that person, right? Work is work, but his driver, who was very close to him, his father, and his father's name is Aung San, and Suu Kyi is the lady, right? Her name is Suu Kyi, and Aung San is her father. So this person who is president, if I'm not wrong, he was very close to either Mr. this Aung San or Suu Kyi, but he was very close, and because of that thing he is made president. So de facto power or actual power is with this lady that you can see, Aung San Suu Kyi. That's what her full name is. I don't know how names work over there in Myanmar, but I know this thing for sure, that her name is Suu Kyi and her father's name is Aung San. Right, so 8888 is about this pro-democracy movement, and we have seen this socialist program party, right, under its rule. This country became very poor. It became, the social fabric was destroyed as well, and minorities, they were against each other, and murders and all these things took place as sort of riots and other things. But now things are changing. Earlier on it was a military dictatorship, then later on it got a little bit soft, military backed semi-democracy. At present we find a negotiated hybrid regime. You have a little bit powers with military and powers with this government, and we also know that military has been very heavy-handed when it comes to this Rakhine state and Rohingyas, and the situation, we have talked about it, so I'm not going into the details of the Rohingyas and the issue, but for a very long period of time I can say that the minorities are been ill-treated in Myanmar, and this thing needs to be changed. Moving on to another item, and it's about last item in today's discussion. It's about this essentiality of mosques. And now there is a case called Ismail Faruqi versus Union of India, and in this case it was said that a mosque is not an essential part of the practice of Islam, because namaz or this prayer by Muslims can be offered anywhere, even in an open place. So this was said back in 1994 in this case, and Supreme Court has said this something similar, that it looks that mosque is not that essential for Islam. So this article is providing us some you can say factual, or you can say some solid arguments, right? The first is that in this Faruqi judgment there was no mention of any evidence from Islamic scripture. The second thing is, if you go through this Commissioner Hindu Religious Endowments Madras versus Sri Lakshmindra Tirtha Swamiyar of Sri Sisur, beg your pardon, Sri Sirur Mutt of 1954, we find that it says that what constitutes the essential part of a religion is primarily to be ascertained with reference to the doctrines of that religion itself. That means what is good, what is necessary, what is essential for a particular religion will be based, or you can ascertain this thing if you go through the scriptures and the doctrines of that religion. And what we find as far as these doctrines are concerned, then Prophet Muhammad, the first act Prophet did after migrating to Medina was he established a mosque. It's also said in Quran that even a blind man was refused this permission to pray at home. Even a blind person should visit this mosque, and he should pray over there. It is also said that if you pray at your home and if you pray at a mosque, then there is a difference of 27 times. It is more when you are in mosque, then your prayers are more meritorious than you do it alone. So all these things indicate that yes, mosques are important, and they are a place for social, financial, racial, gender, and all these things are not taken into consideration, right? It's a social, it's an institution of social progress. People are not discriminated in mosque based on their racial status or their social and financial status. As far as gender is concerned, I think women are not, yes, of course women are not allowed, but this social progress and this educating people about spirituality and humanity and all these things do take place. That's what this article is talking about. I have never been in a mosque, so I'm not that much sure, but I will find out how it works. So that's everything as far as articles are concerned. As you can see, like, they were not that, a couple of them were alright, but it's not satisfying articles that we find in today's The Hindu. Many times it happens, that's fine. They have been providing us with very good articles throughout the year, so 1 or 2 days is alright. Now, CJI raises this Justice Joseph issue with Attorney General about swearing in of this Justice Joseph, but government has said that it's not going to take place, right? Means, when I say it's not, it means government has said that we cannot do this ceremony of Justice Joseph first and then other people later on. No, Justice Joseph will be the last one to sworn in. Then you have 24 girls are rescued from UP shelter. Something similar that happened in Bihar has happened in Uttar Pradesh as well. 3-judge Supreme Court bench is going to hear about Article 35A. And you have Rajya Sabha gives its green signal to National Commission for Backward Classes. Bill for death in rape cases has been cleared. Rape cases, particularly of small children, and you find that Lok Sabha has passed this SC/ST amendment bill. A heavy earthquake hit this place of Indonesia, which is located on the Pacific Ring of Fire. This is a region where maximum amount of volcanoes and earthquakes takes place on our planet. These are your answer, right? Conakry, you have this Freetown, and then you have this Monrovia. And your answers of your MCQs, and these are your 2 new MCQs, and I have already asked you to map based questions. That's everything in today's discussion. Enjoy your studies. I'll see you all. Jai Hind.